you. I'm looking here on your website, and I urge people to go to georgekavassilas.org, and there's a couple of links at the bottom there called the harmonic equation of ascension. And you'll find there, it says on 21st March 2013, this planet, our beloved Lady Gaia, Sophia, will ascend into the Golden Age. And then there's also a similar passage that says, Ascension will occur at the completion of the cycle, which ends on 21st March or the first equinox. Yes, we and our beloved Mother Earth will ascend on this day. For ascension to occur, our DNA helix needs to integrate with the golden ratio spiral or Christ vortex. In other words, the Christ energy needs to be injected into our DNA helix. And I wonder if we could explore that in this our video conversation here.
Yeah, sure. That'd be lovely. I would be honored to. First of all, thank you. I am absolutely honored to have to be invited onto your show, and it's a pleasure to be here, Alfred. It's lovely to talk to you and experience you in person.
Great.
Even though it is via the Technoverse, it's still we do get to experience ourselves to quite a degree. Yeah, the 21st of March. See, a lot of people feel that the cycle ends on the solstice of December 21, 2012, and there's a lot of information that points towards that. And I understand that we'll come to those conclusions. And what I say to people is to not give all their power over to a stone tablet, to feel into this reality deeper and feel into the consciousness of the Earth and the consciousness of the solar system we're so intimately connected to, and feel into what the intentions of this planet are and the intentions of the solar system are, because that's where the real truth is. And the only way to do that is to go deep within yourself. So when you can go through that, then you get that deep organic connection, because you start connecting with everything around you and on really deep levels, and you connect to the all in the universe. So if people can go through that process and get their information, and where were we? Were talking about the 21st of March 2013. So
yeah.
What I was mentioning before, it's nice to go deeper within ourselves and connect on these deeper levels on the relationship that we're having with this Earth and with the solar system that we are so intimately connected with. These are the very, very basics of our existence here. I mean, we chose to come here and have this incredible incarnational experience with the planet and the consciousness of the being that is this planet. So, we're breathing her air, we're drinking her waters and eating her food, we're immersed in her magnetic chamber, we're swimming in her atmosphere, her ethereal templates. We are so one with this planet, with the being that is this planet. Yet, in our everyday conscious state, we are not aware of that. And so why is that? And that's because there's a partition in our minds which has been manufactured over a long, long period of time, a few thousand years, and it's created quite a divide, and that's what it was designed to do, to create that division. And so I say to people to once again obtain the understanding of the cycles we are in, to feel them from a very deep foundational level, and to really understand the relationship between the collective human soul, us all together as one family, one spiritual family. Why we have decided to embark on this together collectively, and to have this incredible relationship with this planet who's facilitating the human experience here. The understandings to this is the real meat, pardon the expression, but the real meat of it all, to really know it from a deep foundational level. And then you can get past all the religious teaching, the philosophical teachings. Doesn't matter what's written in stone, doesn't matter what's written in books, doesn't matter what anyone else says. When you can draw on that knowledge from such a deep foundational level, then it is the absolute. and you get to a really, really good, deep understanding of this relationship between humanity, between our natural environment, and this planet. So, whilst we have a lot of Mayan calendars, for example, and the I Ching and everything, saying that things will finish roughly around the 21st of December 2012. Well, if you look at it from the point of view of what is the point of us being here on this planet, and that's to obtain balance in our souls, if the cycle completes on a solstice, then the scales are way out of balance. And you have, a solstice is either minimum light, maximum darkness, or minimum darkness, maximum light. And so in the scales of duality, it's required for those of us who are attaining balance to finish the cycle when the scales are totally balanced, and that's an equinox, when you've got equal amount of daylight to equal amount of darkness. And so masculine, feminine, everything's balanced in that moment. The two charges of duality, be it positive and negative, or dark and light, or however those two expressions are, in all the different archetypal facets. So that's how I understand it, and there's harmonics involved in our actual physical relationship to this planet and to this actual cycle that we call the precessional cycle. So there are harmonics involved in that, and that's the equation I've shared. Now, I'm not a scientist, so I'm not a scientific mind, but I understand these equations, and that's what I find fascinating. And to understand these equations, to go beyond the norms of the paradigm of science and get into more sacred geometrical side of mathematics and of science, and understand that this is about relationship. That's those numbers are attempting to explain.
Right. Now, what do you see what will be occurring, or what is occurring now, and what will occur at that time? What's the process that is going to occur?
Now, my understanding is that so my understanding of this process is that the intention of us being here is to obtain balance. So we've taken this really long journey in the universe, and we entered this universe and wanted to learn all about it. And the construct of this universe is light. It's waveform, it's frequency, it's vibration, it's sound, it's all of the above, all one and the same thing. And so we explored this universe to all its facets, everything it had to offer. So we've been and we've seen everything that this universe has to offer. And myself and others who know that about ourselves are now going through this graduation process, reobtaining final balance in our souls, so we can now graduate and actually become a creator of this love and light energy. And that's the process. Mother Earth is about to give birth to the beings who are achieving this. And so that's why we have the forces of darkness and the forces of limitation, which we have contracted from a higher level to come and do this to us, to challenge the human construct, which is a fractal of the universe. We are a fractal of the universe, and we contain all the codes to life within us. And therefore, we are being challenged to the nth degree. And to see who can hold their integrity, hold center, hold that balance, and not be lured off. Because if you are lured away from that centered integrity, then you're not ready to be a creator of light, because there's no way you can go about creating your own universe using this construct we call light, and have within you, inside of you, your own creation take control of you. So you have to know everything. You have to gain all the wisdom there is to know about light. And the people that don't make it through this time and don't ascend with Mother Earth, they will go to other planetary systems which are setting themselves up already. And I've met the consciousness of those beings who are incarnate on this planet, who are those planets who are taking this responsibility on next, and they're observing, because they're like I said, facilitating the process next, and people will gravitate towards those via the law of attraction and continue the processes there. And what's happening is this planet is actually ascending and becoming a body of light. So she will ascend and actually emit and emanate the universal consciousness in its totality. So that's, and the colour, I've often asked Mother Earth, you know, what colour are you going to be? And I just keep getting magenta. And I've gotten it for years, and I continue to get it, and it hasn't changed. And it's fascinating because people have come up to me and said, you know, George, my galactic family came and picked me up, and they took me into the future, excuse me, and showed me Mother Earth. And she was a body of light. And I said, what colour was she? She said they were magenta. She was magenta in colour. And I just went, wow, you know. And they thought they were crazy, but they came across things that I was saying because no one out there in the wilderness was saying these things. And I thought I was, you know, the concepts I was sharing was really out there as well. And it's taken me years to come to peace with it all, where I can actually get up and have a voice and express it in a more balanced way. And you'd be surprised, Alfred, how many people out there have had such experiences.
Right, yeah. So we're actually moving into a higher dimension with Gaia.
We're doing it together. It's a symbiotic relationship. Yeah. And, you know, because when you are birthed into a new way of life, we are birthed through the womb of a mother. And so it's interesting when you look around you and you have all these religious structures, dogmatic religious structures, and the majority of them are male deities, and it's all about externalization. And I'm talking about going within and reconnecting with the Earth Mother, the woman whose body you are incarnated upon, and having such an intimate relationship. And then to once again rekindle that relationship and once again understand that relationship. You know, it's why you're here. Why did you choose to come here? And why did you choose to come here now? You know, these are the questions to really start feeling into and deeply contemplate within oneself. And the answers to that are inside. Everybody's got this. You know, I actually always say, Alfred, I'm not teaching anyone anything new. Everybody's got this knowledge because there is only one great truth in the universe. And we all have it within us. And I'm just here just to help provide triggers to help rekindle that relationship, reawaken and help people to re-remember who and what we truly are. You know, and yeah, you wanted to ask a question?
Well, no, I'm just thinking. I also heard you say that if I'm correct, that as we approach this process is something that, in a sense, has already occurred, and that is that it's a process at the universe level. In a way, it's a destiny process, and that those of us who have enrolled ourselves in the destiny of Gaia are part of that. Am I catching on?
Yeah, because the future's already happened from much higher perspective. You know, past, present, and future exist simultaneously. So this is where our egos tend to have issues. I struggled with this for a very long period of time myself. And for my ego to actually understand the concept of the future's already happened. And so I needed to actually let go and surrender my personality of George for this one lifetime, surrender to the greater me. And it's that part of me that made the decision to come here. It's that part of me that is the composer, the orchestrator, and the conductor of this life that I'm having. And that's the part of me that's totally in sync and one in harmony with creation and, you know, the universal creator and beyond. So it's once you can surrender to that, then you actually flow. And what's happening is our higher self is absorbing our ego. See, we're integrating. Our egos are important. It's of utmost importance not to live in denial of the ego, because that creates more internal division. It's actually important to embrace our ego and to understand how it's serving us, because our earthly personalities are the ego for this level, but are also, it resides in the mind construct. And so it's the interface, you know, for this reality. So it's important not to try and get rid of it. It's just important to embrace it, embrace that aspect of yourself with love, and then allow it to integrate with the greater you. And then what happens is your ego and your mind now start flowing in synchronicity from the greater you. It emanates out. So it goes from this heart center here, and then emanates to the mind, and then your mind is operating from that, rather than your mind being influenced externally by the mind matrix. You see. And we start flowing in our own river of life, and then your river of life is in sync with the natural unfoldment, the organic unfoldment of life, and you end up living and moving through this matrix and expressing and living your life in such a flowing and in synchronistic way. It's incredible.
Now, along with it, of our community of souls, let's say that there's somewhere between 6 and 7 billion souls on the planet now. Has everyone already voted where they're going, or are people in the process of voting, or how do you see that issue happening over the next couple of years?
Yeah, from the higher levels, much higher levels, it's all said and done. Okay. Now you've got intermediary levels where there is the byplay into the drama here, where you can say, well, there's still maybe we can either go this way or that way. That's still playing into the drama. And this drama is not just planetary, it's actually on a cosmic level, because we've got the 4D cosmic arena, which is colossal in size, which I won't go into explaining right now, the whole thing, because it just takes too long, as you're aware. But all that information I do supply in other events, and yeah, I've got a plethora of that information available for people.
Right.
But it's also understanding that cosmic level, that 4D cosmic mind of the universe, and the 4D cosmic level of the drama of life, that is a part of us where we're engaged to a certain degree the drama of the arena we're inside of. And yes, from that perspective, it can be viewed as there is, it can go one way or the other, and there's still as though we are, the drama is unfolding, and we can influence it also one way or another from that level of understanding. So we're walking between dimensions here. We're walking not only between worlds, but we're looking at this from a multidimensional format, because we are multidimensional beings. So you don't just exist here on this earthly plane. You have Alfred here, then you've got aspects of you that may be in the third dimension scattered throughout the cosmos, aspects of you in the fourth dimension, and you have aspects of you in the fifth and beyond. So you're still up in these higher levels, because what happens is these higher levels of ourselves, project aspects of ourselves down into the lower domains, but we're still up there. So when I talk about our lower ego being absorbed by the higher self, that is what's happening. The veil is thinning. The higher aspect of ourselves is now absorbing the lower ego. And I'm talking the higher self being fifth dimension and above, is now being absorbed. We're integrating with a much greater aspect of self. And as the veil gets thinner and thinner and thinner, soon an opening will occur in this reality, and we will walk as the two completely merged physically.
Right. So it seems like the process of surrender is a fundamental process that we should be engaging in, that one as a being should be engaging in at this time and over the next few years. I mean, surrender to this process of ascension, of moving through the dimensions with Gaia. Is that a correct formulation of it?
That is a very good assessment of it, and this is surrender to yourself, because again, this is not giving your power away to anyone or anything outside of you. This is about for the lower aspect of self to surrender control of this life to the greater aspect of yourself, because it's that great aspect of yourself which is in sync, harmony with not only Gaia, not only cross here, which is the high aspect of Gaia, also to the rest of life and creation.
Now, these are just questions which probably are addressed to you very, very often, but there there are questions which naturally come up. In terms of a stratification, are there any estimates that you've been given or you've come across as to, say, of the totality of humans that are on the planet now, what proportion are going to choose ascension, what proportion are going to choose different paths?
Yeah, that's a really good question. If I was to choose proportions, then I would say roughly close to half will be ascending. Close. I would say that around roughly half the world's population will be taken off world. And that is, on one level, it's sad and unfortunate, but that is their path, that is where they're being, their intuitive guidance is leading them towards, because they're not ready to ascend, because we didn't all enter the universe at the same time. There are those of us who have been here much longer than others, and so they haven't been everything and done everything. They've still got a little bit of a way to go, and this isn't about elitism or anything like that. It's just that we just didn't all come into the universe at the same time. There's beings entering now, so they've still got a lot of the process to go through yet, to explore and have fun in the domains of this universe, and try and be all of it and see all of it and experience all of it and learn from all of it. So, yeah. Sorry, go on.
No. I'm just hearing what you're saying, and in fact, in our conversation prior to the program, you had mentioned that you're getting a lot of outside independent confirmation that the time frame that you're seeing for this process is accurate and is congruent with other evidence. Could you share some of that with us?
Yeah, it's amazing how I had a lady come up to me, and I've had emails, and this one specific lady said that her galactic family picked her up and took her into the future and showed her Mother Earth in the near future, and she was a star. She was just a body of light, which is what a star is. She was a magenta color. And that was just fascinating that people are having these experiences independent. This lady had this experience before she came across my material, and people are coming to me from all over the place, like people who work with crystals are now seeing the magenta in the spectrum, which is now appearing in the light spectrum, which they saw before. Things like that, it's just happening constantly. And, look, if it doesn't come to pass, say, because this is entertaining a hypothetical idea for me, if it doesn't come to pass, then at least I had the fortitude to get up and say the things that I felt were true at the time, because I'm coming from my heart, and I'm not trying to create disinformation or mislead people. I'll always say, please don't take my word for gospel, and because I'm here to empower people from within. This is what this is all about. So if somebody feels like when the process starts to happen, because it's going to go up another level really, really soon, that they want to get on the spaceships and go off-world, and that's their soul journey. See, I'm not here to convince people of anything, and I'm not here to control anyone or try and mislead anyone. So this is about, I want people to follow their sovereignty, their own intuitive heart, because where my soul is at this point in time is different to where other people's journeys are at in this universe. So I know where I'm going. I'm going to stay with Mother Earth. I'm going to ascend with Mother Earth. I'm going to walk through those openings and go to the fifth dimension. And that's not just ascension. That's just going back to the fifth dimension. And that is the platform. The fifth dimension is the platform we ascend from. Because once we get back there, then that's where we prepare for all of our dimensions to implode simultaneously all at the same time. And then what gets birthed out of that is universal consciousness, you see. So that's the process I'm going through. But wherever anybody wants to go, that's entirely up to them.
Right. Now, some of the places that I've been journeying, for example, in my research are very much in line with what you've been finding. For example, I found a line of research at the empirical level which suggested that there are almost two timelines, one a catastrophic timeline and one a positive timeline. These are just different terms. And in the catastrophic timeline, it was a catastrophic Earth with the deep underground bases, and there was nobody left on Earth. And in the positive timeline, people were actually becoming light beings. And there's empirical evidence for both timelines. And, I wrote, are you on the 2012 to 13 catastrophic timeline or positive timeline? How would you interpret those two different empirical lines in terms of the frameworks that you've been able to perceive through your multidimensional journey, through the various matrices that you journey through?
Wow, that's a really big question. Okay. Let me just feel into that, because that's a really big question. It's a really big deal to do with the timelines, how people perceive timelines. You see, there's the original organic timeline, and then there's a whole lot of branches off that original organic timeline. So if you look at it as the trunk of a tree, you lay a tree down, you cut all the branches off, and you just got these nodules sticking out everywhere as you go along that main trunk. Think of the reality we are inside of, and I'm not just being biased here, this is actually the construct of we are the trunk. This is the main organic timeline. And then you have all these beings that come along and traverse timelines. They surf the lines. It's like surfing the net or surfing the waves. You know what I mean? Yeah. So what you have is all these potentialities and probable realities, because it's that person's journey to come along into this reality, because there's a point in the universe where there's the original intention of the consciousness going to manifest itself as a reality, let's say, as this planet. Okay? Now, that's where it began. That's the birthing point of space-time continuum in a linear fashion. Now we're talking. So from then on, that timeline goes forward. But what happens is beings come along, discover that timeline, and branch off it. Okay? Now, when they branch off that timeline, they hit a new trajectory, and what gets manifested could be just a room, it could be a city, it could be a planet, it could be a solar system, it could be a galaxy, it could be a whole other entire universe. Excuse me. And they could get caught down one of those timelines for a very, very long period of time. And I recently had a meeting from an ambassador from one of these parallel universes, and I was explaining to him this concept of the main trunk of the tree and all these timelines that go off it. And I said, but they will always, always, always come back to this timeline at some time down the track. And I said, because of the way the universe is structured, when you branch off one of those timelines, there's not the same amount of substance to them. They're actually more holographic in nature. And then this one. This one's got all the substance to it, where they're a little bit more shallow. And he explained to me how they come off this timeline, do a loop, and come back, and they can delete that whole universal paradigm if they want, and come to this one, branch off, and go again. And I said, I just explained that to you, and you've just answered that. You've just proven to me that's what you do. And he was a little bit stunned, actually. And there's a lot to that meeting. I actually like to explain something more down the track about that meeting, because it's a very, very important point. So if I can ask you to remember to ask me the question about that meeting.
Sure.
Because this was an ambassador from another universe who travels back to his universe 2 to 3 times a week. Now, this is a really, really big meeting that I had with this gentleman. And so what happened is you've got right to the very, very end, where the intended outcome of this timeline, because we're looking at it in a linear sense now, is for this planet to birth into a body of light. This is the intention of the consciousness of this planet, and the intention of the consciousness of this solar system, our star, the sun, and the galaxy. So all these consciousnesses working together on these 3 different levels: galactic consciousness, star level consciousness, planetary consciousness. What is their intentions? Okay, this is the level of awareness we need to get to if you're going to understand the grander concepts of who and what we are, and the real truth behind who and what we are. And so when you travel down this timeline, just before Mother Earth turns into a star, you'll hear many races coming back here now, and they have, and they're saying this is where the catastrophe occurred. This is where something went wrong. And the reason they say that is they don't have the capacity to take the journey into this version of light that we are going into. So for them, it's a disaster, because for them, the planet blows up.
I see.
That's how they view it. They don't view it from the point of view as we're birthing into this new way of life.
Right.
See? Because they're trapped down in a much lower domain, much lower perspective or level of awareness, right. And they use, much lower vibratory technologies, and they use technology for starters, because in my model of the universe, 5D and above, there's no technology.
Yeah.
It's below the fifth dimension.
Right.
So a lot of these beings are looking at it from within their paradigm, and they always come back. And that's why we have got literally thousands of extraterrestrial races that have come back to this reality in recent times right now, so they can work out what happened to them. And then what happens is they come back from a time loop, then they go off on another one and create another one. So when people are looking at our organic consciousness, this organic timeline, and they're saying that there's divisions coming up, that's because they're looking at it from within one of those time loops that I'm talking about. And if you go off on one of those time loops, then eventually you will find yourself coming back to this one.
I see. Now, that's very interesting. That is very interesting.
And it can take eons of time. Yeah? Because one of these paradigms that can be manifested, because whoever goes off on that trajectory, that's a soul group thing. They manufactured that together collectively from a much higher aspect of themselves, a universal paradigm to explore. Because when they got to the end of this timeline, traveling along it, they weren't ready to go through forward and make that connection, to make that metamorphosis or that transformation. So they needed to go off on a trajectory and take another timeline, and eventually they might go off equivalent Earth time 1 million years into the future, and then eventually find their way back to this timeline and this point in time again.
Now, how does your meeting with what you refer to, the ambassador from the parallel universe, how does that fit into this? Or could you explain aspects of the meeting? And yeah.
Oh, I'd love to. You see, this meeting for me was incredibly important, because it showed, I often talk, Alfred, about how there have been paradigms of awareness that have been created, and you have literally thousands of ET races that have been assimilated into one of these bubbles or paradigms of awareness. And they think they're in a universal paradigm. And this meeting with this gentleman was exactly that. An ambassador from a parallel universe who has come here and is exploring the reality of Earth and what's happening here, reporting back to his universe. And the reality is, and he's part of what's called the Ashtar Command. He goes on board their ships. They scan his soul, his essence. He called it the soul, but I know it's galactic consciousness, right? They scan that because, for me, well, it depends on your definition of what soul is. For me, the soul is untouchable by any technology or anything like that. So they scan his what he called his soul, but what I call galactic consciousness or essence, and everything that he experiences, they record. It goes back to their people, back to the universe, and back to their gods, who are the elders and the rulers in the domain of their universe, which I found interesting. And I said to him, okay. He said to me, look, we are here. We're having meetings with the establishment behind the scenes, and we are going to be implementing. We've got a 10-year program, and we're going to be implementing new technologies. We're going to help rid all humanity of diseases. We're going to basically provide infrastructure so humanity can be free, from their oppression. And I said, that's really wonderful. I really, admire that. I get a lot of this when I speak my truth, you see. Hang on one moment. And he said to me, I said to him, I really admire the good intentions of your peoples. I said, but I need to ask you this. In your meetings, was the consciousness of this planet represented and present at your meeting? Think of a meeting on a massive scale. Like in Star Wars, you got thousands of races represented,
Right.
and they're all deliberating and working out a way of coming to this planet here, which is so important in the scheme of things in the universe. And they want to help free and liberate humanity. And they're working and formulating out plans and who's going to come here and do what, and the different areas that they specialize in. Geneticists and social workers and environmental health and all sorts of things, and new technologies and what's the best way according to their level of awareness, what technologies we can give them and all that sort of stuff. So you can imagine these massive meetings that take place on such a large scale. And I said to him, so is the consciousness of the planet present and represented, and is the consciousness of the solar system present and represented in these meetings? And he just stopped and he looked at me. And it really stunned him for a moment. He said, well, I hope so. And I said, well, look at it from this point of view, okay? I said, you've got good intentions, and I do understand that. But have you ever stopped to think that you are actually imposing and interfering? Like, you want to come here and you want to implement your infrastructure here on humanity and on this planet, but you haven't even asked her. You haven't even asked the Earth Mother for her permission to do that. Do you get where I'm coming from, Alfred?
Yeah.
You haven't even asked the permission of the solar system, the being that is the solar system, to do that. So what I'm trying to explain here is you've got a whole lot of extraterrestrial races that have good intentions. They're in contact with people behind the scenes at the moment, but they don't understand that they're actually going to do more harm than good, because they're not doing it in conjunction and in harmony and in line with the planet. She's going to become a star body of light, whether they have a 10-year plan or not, because they're an extraterrestrial civilization, but they're not working in sync with the consciousness of this planet and in synchronization with the consciousness of the solar system.
Right. So that the planet transforming itself into a star body of light is how it's perceived from 3D. But if it's perceived from 5D, it's an ascended planet in the 5 dimensions, in the 5th dimension of light and of love as a universe.
Well, even what Mother Earth is becoming is even greater than that, because she will emanate universal consciousness in its totality.
I see.
So it's kind of, what's happening here is different. Like, let me explain this. Planets are birthed into stars regularly all over the universe.
Okay.
It's a common thing. Okay. This is what happens. Planetary systems go down. They take a down cycle, and then what they do is they come up and they come out and they go back to the 5D, and so do the civilizations that have been, those peoples that took that journey with that planet. And this is quite a regular thing to a certain degree. But or they go to a higher level of another level of consciousness, and the beings reach a certain level of enlightenment, but not full blown enlightenment. So what I'm trying to explain here is that a planet birthing into a body of light is a common theme.
Right.
Like for me, an aspect of myself comes from the blue star of Sirius, and on that star itself, not a planet around the star, but the star itself.
Yeah.
And so that is a planet on a higher level, Alfred, you see. But from down here, we see it as a body of light. We see it as a star.
Right, right. I hear what you're saying. And so now I'm just trying to ask these type of questions. For example, as part of my work, I've been just in the last few days, I documented with a radiation scientist the fact that through Fukushima, as part of a depopulation program, there's an intentional radiation genocide, apparently, and this is just from the evidentiary facts that's going on. There's, a 35% spike in infant mortality here on the west coast of the U.S. and Canada that can be traced to the Fukushima event, and it looks like a radiation genocide has been set into motion by the Fukushima event. There's 10 times the radiation of Chernobyl. Now, so I'm thinking ahead and trying to see that when the planet now ascends, it, that sort of attack upon the planet itself then becomes part of this ascended planet. Is that and all of that pollution and radiation is absorbed into the ascension process that emerges in 5D.
Yeah, it gets transmuted
Yeah,
because things like because I've been to the fifth dimension many times
yeah,
in this lifetime, there's
yeah,
no electricity. Like I said,
yeah,
there's no technology. There's no such
yeah.
thing as steel or electricity or plastics, or these are all elements and substances of the lower domains of the universe. So these sort of things and radiation, all that, do not exist in the higher dimensions.
Right,
They just don't exist. They're not a part of it, of that reality. And so all these things are all part of the lower ego of Mother Earth. And as we transmute our lower ego, she's transmuting her lower ego. And this is another kind of aspect to it that I wish to share, because a lot of people feel that we're going to go through this process. It's going to be a long, drawn out process, that we're
right,
going to start introducing new technologies. We're going to go back to nature. We'll all be loving again and everything will be beautiful. And I'm trying to explain to people that that's nice. I would really like it to happen that way as well, but I don't feel that that's the reality of it, because first of all, I feel it's going to happen very intensely over a short period of time, simply because I understand the forces of darkness and the forces of limitation. So a lot of people are spending a lot of time on the positive end of the scale, because they're two sides, they're alter egos of one another, and the process of the I suppose the consciousness and the light that I'm speaking of is you take those two and you integrate them and you rise out of that paradigm, and that's the consciousness and the light that the 5D version that I'm talking about. So when we go from the negative side of the charge over to the positive side of the charge, we're still down in the lower domains, but it's just a different expression. So that expression is not above the negative. They like to see themselves as though they are, but they're really across from it, if you know what I mean, because it's two sides of the scales of duality of life. Now, I've explored both paradigms extensively, so that's why I'm talking from experience here. So what I'm saying is people are now, because we've been in such a negative charge, they're going into this positive white love and light charge of life within themselves, but they're now once again forgetting the negative charge, and they're
okay,
forgetting the behavioral patterns and the way they go about doing things. And you've got to realize that they're hanging on for everything that they're worth. And it's kind of like the pressure's building. And this is what we wanted from a high level. I call it the big squeeze,
right,
this consciousness is rising up from inside of us, transforming everything. They're holding on from everything it's worth. We've got the positive side of the scale coming in a very, very intense way to swing the pendulum, to balance out the negative charge we've been in for such a long time. And there's this big squeeze happening on us right now, and it's like a cam effect, The more you get to the top of that cam ridge, that tipping point, the more the resistance is, and it'll go, 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 and then it's just going to give. And then it's just like the floodgates open and everything changes very quickly. So for me, that's how, if I feel into this reality, if I feel into Mother Earth and I
right,
feel into the process and I feel into the forces of darkness and limitation, I feel into the forces of positive white love and light, and that paradigm is got its limits too. I feel into both of those. Now I feel into myself, which is above and beyond that dualistic process and that arena. These are the understandings and the conclusions that I come to within myself. So that's what I urge people to do, is to look at it from all these perspectives, and also not to forget the way the dark forces of darkness limitation behave, because if you do, then you'll get caught up in a romantic ideology of how you would like it to be, and how and even extraterrestrial races that we're in contact with and I'm in contact with would like it to be. But again, they're not aware of the much grander perspective, because even their paradigm is limited, you know?
yeah. Well, that's a very, very interesting point. Um, what comes to mind is this. I've had experience over the past year with a couple of persons. One is Anthony Kane, and the other is Dr. Georgi Stankoff, and they're dealing with their own experience. Dr. Stankoff indicates that he has ascended and been to 5D a number of times also. And as a scientist, he's written a number of articles that in which he, like yourself, purports to lay out the universal laws which point to the ascension process as the organic and logical process that nature is going to take. Now, he's still pointing to the December 21st, 2012. I can see your point on the March 21st. Anthony Kane is a different story. He is the grandnephew of Dr. Martin Luther King, who won the Nobel Peace Prize. And Anthony was visited by extraterrestrials called the Council of 12, who came down they brought his spaceship onto his house in Seattle and came down, all 12 of them in robes. Yeah. And his life changed totally. He had to flee the U.S., come here to Canada, and they told him again that there's going to be a bifurcation, that the Earth will ascend at this time. And if people go to exopolitics.com, you can find links.
I'll have to have a look at that, because to me, I often talk about the Council of 12, so I would find that totally fascinating. So, can you give me the gentleman's name again?
Yeah. Could you tell me a bit about your experiences with what you have called the Council of 12?
Yeah, sure. And okay, and I want to talk about the natural environment, because that's always getting left out of the picture.
Yeah.
I'll just put that down as a note for me.
Okay.
Because I want to talk about that. Perfect. All right. Now, the Council of 12, we use fractals of 12, and I say we because there's many beings who have been involved in this process of managing this reality and this whole, what we call the divine plan of creation, not meaning the whole universal structure, but especially this arm of it, or this part of it, which is this galaxy, and the reasons why this galaxy manifested herself, the Milky Way, the nurturing of the mother's milk, who's the consciousness that is this galaxy we're inside of, and why was that manifested, and because we came up with, collectively with the universal creator, an idea of allowing everybody, after they've gone down through all the dimensions of the universe and fragmented themselves and explored all these different ways and states of being, to finally find a path to funnel it all back in and reintegrate. So this galaxy is a fractal of the universe, and then we funneled everything down. So what you do is you take a galaxy out there, and the consciousness of that galaxy, and all the beings that have ever incarnated, and all the wisdom and all the experiences and the wisdom gained from those experiences that have ever been, and you compress them into a star system. And then you take that compressed star system and you put them inside a galaxy. So every star system inside this galaxy is a fractal of a galaxy. So what we did was we started this road to compression. And that's how, it's funneling, because we want to take everything and bring it all into an integrated state and back into a centered state of oneness and harmony and integration again. And that was the whole concept of this. It's the road to compression, because we're taking everything back to 0 point. And so we've entered this galaxy, then we went into the Orion Nebula, because then you've got a more male energy that did that, which I discussed. It's a male expression of this universal creator who manifested himself as the Orion Nebula and is the archetype of the hunter. And all the experiences everybody went and had in there was to transmute the male warrior archetype, hence the hunter. And then from there, this solar system was created, again, a male consciousness and the male aspect. And it's the Orion system level consciousness now stepping itself down to a single star system consciousness, because the Orion Nebula is huge. It's like a mini galaxy within this galaxy. And so our sun is, a stepping down, a fractal of Orion, which is a fractal of the Andromeda, which is a fractal of the universal male expression of the creator of this universe, right? And so it's this continual stepping down and funneling and compression. And finally, we've got the feminine aspect that's manifested herself as this planet. And this is the final arena that we came into and onto to play this out, to be totally balanced. And so it's fractals of 12 as well. We've got the 12th strand of DNA. You've got the 12 main archetypes of the personalities of the universal creator. We've got the 12 planets of the solar system, which embody each one of those archetypal aspects. And it's just been fractals of 12 all the way through. So you've got this council of 12. That's why you had Jesus and, or Isus or Yeshua, whatever you want to call him.
Yeah.
And his 12 apostles. You had Mary Magdalene and her 12 apostles or high priestesses, which you don't hear about, by the way. It doesn't get a mention. And there's always been these fractals of 12. And it's understanding that it's just fractals. And that is the process that the universal creator has chosen to use. That is, if you want to look at it from a number point of view, because numbers are a quantifiable language. It's still language, but it's quantifiable language, and that's the process that can be described that way. So the Council of 12, the main Council of 12, as I understand them, are the 12 archetypal personalities of the Creator. So they are the Creator of this universe, right? Not of all creation, because we're all part of the all, right? I'm just talking about God, the Creator of this universe that we're inside of. Because we exist beyond that, of course. And so that Council of 12 are 12 different personality archetypes of the Creator.
Very interesting. Now, you mentioned that you wanted to also discuss the natural environment and how that fitted into this process.
Yeah, it's very, very important, this point I'm going to make, because you know how I said before, people think we're going to go back to nature, everything's going to be beautiful. Well, it's not a frequency match. So when I say Mother Earth needs to cleanse her lower personality, her lower ego, and that the Earth will become a star, this makes perfect sense. And this is it's logical, it's rational, and it makes sense. So if you look at it from the point of view that Lady Gaia is her lower ego, her earthly personality, like George, and this embodiment is my lower ego, my earthly personality. And then, what's the planetary's one? And because she's facilitating this, so the environment that we're incarnated onto and into, it's a frequency match, okay? For us to be able to have our warring, to experience greed, to experience consumerism and all that sort of business, because we have an environment that facilitates that. So while you look out at nature and you think, wow, she's really beautiful, you look deeper beyond that beauty and she's totally barbaric. Everything is killing everything in order to survive. So you can't have a bunch of enlightened beings walking all around on a planetary body whose natural environment is completely barbaric. It's totally a non-frequency match. The only way you can do that is if you create an overlay, a holographic reality, and overlay it over the natural environment. Then you're living, and that's more division, because now you're even more separated than the consciousness of the planet. You're not even matching the natural environment, if you know what I mean. So that's doing it through technology. So that's another path again. So what I'm saying to people is you've got to realize that the whole natural environment around you, is going to go. I mean, you can't be an enlightened reality and have a pack of lions mauling a zebra, having a bird hacking a worm to pieces. I mean, it's just not a frequency match. So people forget that part of the equation. They tend to just focus on humanity and they forget their natural environment. So Mother Earth is transmuting her lower ego, which is the crust, and the environment on it. That has to go. And that's why between now and 21st of December 2012, you're going to see a whole lot more earthquakes, volcanoes, unfortunately tsunamis. They're just going to keep getting more and more frequent. The intensity is going to start getting more, growing in intensity. And it's all part of the process of Mother Earth transmuting that lower ego. It's like a snake when it's reborn sheds its skin. So inside Mother Earth, because when you connect with your heart and you connect with the heart of the Earth Mother, you realize you hit Christ Sophia consciousness, which is the feminine aspect of the sun. So you've got the sun, which is the male, and then you've got a smaller one of those, a feminine version of that, which is the inside of this Earth. So the outer skin has to go. It'll be imploded. It'll go towards center because everything gets drawn towards center, and that's the process. And Mother Earth is straightening up on her axis as well, and that's where the pole shift comes into it, Alfred, because of the straightening up of her axis, because that wobble was an aspect of duality and the precession of the equinoxes, which served its purpose. So she's now straightening up on her axis. Chile, 8 centimeters, Japan, 30 centimeters, and so she's going through that process of straightening up in increments at the moment. But in that alignment, that galactic alignment of 2012, December 21, 2012, she's going to do it in one fluid motion after that. And it'll be a 3-month process outside here, time-wise, from our perspective of time in this current moment. And then she'll hit exact center on the 21st of March, 2013 at the equinox. So, she's had this wobble, and now she's come and it'll take that 3-month process, and boom, she hits center. In that moment, that's when everything implodes. We implode our dimensions. We would have already gone through into the 5th dimension by then. We implode all our dimensions, and together with Mother Earth, we birth into universal consciousness. And, and for us to be safe from Mother Earth cleansing herself, we will actually create openings, and we will walk through those openings. We do them ourselves. Okay, as we merge with the higher self, it gets to the point where the 5th dimensional aspect of us totally merges with this aspect of us. An opening in this reality occurs, which is, from looking at it from a sacred geometrical point of view, is the Vesica Pisces, because it's the womb of the mother, and it's it's the integrated states of duality. In that center is perfect balance, and that's what will happen. This opening will occur, and we will walk through and morph and merge and become one with the 5D higher aspect of ourselves.
Now, that I can certainly follow that. Now, I just want to ask you a question, just because so much of my time, it seems, has been dealing with the controllers and their harp chemtrails machine, and with scientists who can make reasonable correlations, saying that so many of the trigger Earth, like the Haiti and a lot of these catastrophes are in fact environmental warfare that's masking itself like Earth changes, and that they are trying to disguise themselves as Mother Earth. It's kind of they're trying to hitch a ride on the ascension process in a certain way. And I wonder how you view, because I have to say that I'm really heartened by your view of being able to see the world so powerfully that these forces do not deflect you from your vision. How do you...
Oh, they're trying. Oh, believe me, they're trying every day.
Sure. But how do you see, just taking harp by itself, and we know that there's a harp facility in Australia, which is run partially by some of the lower ET races. How do you see that whole lower realm? What happens to that realm, to the harp, to all that nastiness in this ascension process?
Yeah, what happens to the whole realm is a massive, massive question. But what I'll say is some of the earthquakes we're experiencing are exactly what you described.
Yeah.
And I'll say some, not all. If you're going to say all of them are a result of harp, you are then giving all the power over to them and their technology, and you're not acknowledging Mother Earth and her process.
Okay.
So what I say to people is be very careful, because they want to suck you into their vortex of drama. They want to get all the power, and this is a fight for your attention, and this is a fight for your awareness.
Right.
Okay? It is through your attention that they grab your awareness, and then that's how they steer you through life. So depending on your level of awareness will depend on your outcome as well. We're now inside the drama, looking at it from within the arena.
Right.
Okay? So be very, very careful about that, because okay, let me get to the beginning of it. I've got to preface it with this, because then you'll understand the processes that they are using.
Yeah.
Let's look at ourselves from the point of view of being a Dark Lord who wants to go and control a planetary system.
Right.
Okay? Let's look at it from that, and we're approaching this planetary system. Remember, I said I've been everything and I've done everything. So let's look at it from that point of view.
Right.
So I'm going to tap into that aspect of myself now that's done it somewhere in the cosmos.
Right.
Now, because got to understand realities from the foundational level. If you just go to this planetary system and you just use by military force, that's not going to work. After a while, you get rebellions, and it just causes trouble. It's not long sustaining. Yeah. So if you really want to control a planetary system properly, then what you need to do is understand the vibrations of that reality.
Right.
And when you do control those vibrations, or the consciousness of that reality, then you control everything in that reality. Everything. Not just the people, but their whole environment.
Right.
Then you are controlling them from within, as far as you can reach, because obviously there's levels that technology cannot reach and control cannot reach. But you can get it as deep as you possibly can, far, far deeper than anything, even mind control programs, deeper than that, because they're controlling us even beyond the mind. So not as into our soul, but I mean into a very deep vibrational pattern. Excuse me. So it's very important to understand that for this planet, for example, if you know it's the divine feminine, then if you want to control humanity, you want to control everything here, you control the feminine, you control the planet, you control humanity, you control everything. And all you got to do is look around you, and that is self-explanatory. What has happened to the feminine in our world?
Right.
Okay? And that makes perfect sense. So now what they're doing is their hatred for the feminine is so deep. It runs deep. They despise her. Okay? And look how they've treated her over the last few thousand years, what they've done to the woman.
Right.
So that's obvious, And so what they want, the last thing they want, okay, is any acknowledgement to go to Mother Earth. Because all they've ever wanted to do is control her and do this to her and persecute her, and they've raped her and they've pillaged her and they've cut her tongue out for speaking out and they've burnt her at the stake. And this is because women embody that archetype, of the divine feminine. So they want it to be hard. They want you to think that it's them with their technology that have all the power. And the last thing they want is any acknowledgement to go to Mother Earth herself or the divine feminine herself.
Right. Now, we're coming to the end of the hour, but I'd like to ask you, are there any aspects of this ascension process between now and March 21st, 2013, that you think we haven't covered, that you think are important for you to elucidate more for the audience?
Yeah, there are so many, Alfred. There really are. My goodness. Okay, if there is a priority right now, I would have to say the next pending global mind control event. That to me is paramount. Yeah. If you look at 9/11, it worked pretty good. Wasn't too bad. Had a pretty good effect. But this next one that's coming is going to make that look like a little baby. You see, this is a fight for our attention, like the great man David Icke says. And I'm going to take it a step further and say it's a battle for our awareness. It's through your attention that they steer your awareness, that they lure you into their paradigms of awareness, and that'll be your perspective on life. And it's really, really important to understand that they did a pretty good job with 9/11, but they want to really get a hold of humanity's awareness and steer it. And because what they need to do now is plunge people deeper into a trance. The trance is getting pretty full on. Even my kids are noticing it with people around them. You know, people are just becoming even deeper, more disconnected, more trance-like. They're just becoming zombies more and more every day. And I notice it too. Like, there's a lot of people that are waking up, Alfred, lots more. I'm really happy about that, and it makes my heart sing. But what I'm noticing is that, you know, for want of a better term, the separation of the wheat from the chaff. You know, there's a real divide happening here, and the people that are going into they're still in the matrix is actually, you know, remember I said there's a compression happening? People, the big squeeze, well, they're going deeper into that trance. They're turning up the juice on the matrix because, you know, it's kind of like a sieve effect. Do you know what I mean? We're popping out of that sieve, the ones who are popping out of the matrix, but there's plenty that's still getting caught up in that, you know, inside the sieve. So, and that's what they want to do. They want to catch as many people as possible. Because it's a battle for their awareness, and you know, we are the greatest resource they have ever had, because nowhere else is there an embodiment that accesses more life force than ours. That's reality. We are the number one commodity to them, and they have become as powerful as they are now because we feed them. Okay, because they've found a way to control our awareness, our intentions, and therefore what we project and where we project it and how we project it. So it's very, very important to understand that. And this is all about they see you as cattle. They see you as though they own you and they have a right to you. And, you know, there's a really, really grand old-fashioned drama being played out here. And I say to people, be very, very careful, because this next event is not far away. And whether it's going to be a fake alien invasion or whether it's going to be a religious deity or whether it's going to be Comet, Elenin or Nibiru, doesn't matter. Let's just not worry about the detail of what it might be, but just be prepared within yourself that something big is on its way. And at least forewarned is forearmed, and you can say, right, this is happening. It's getting pumped out all over the television screens all around the world, and I better be very, very aware of what effect it's going to have on my mind and what they wish to make me believe.
Do you think it's worthwhile for those of us who are aware of a coming mind control event that if and when it occurs, we have kind of a true squad that's available to come forth and begin to deconstruct it, or do we just wait?
No, if someone feels they need to be proactive, again, it's following the intuitive heart guidance.
Okay.
So if somebody feels that they want to be proactive in this area, by all means do it. No, don't sit back and wait.
Yeah.
There are some people who don't feel the need to do it. Again, you know, we're all on our individual journeys, but I say to those people who feel that, you know, we need to start getting this out and get it to the attention. Obviously I do, otherwise I wouldn't have mentioned it. And there are other people I'm working with behind the scenes to make sure that we do make this this point an issue, and we bring it to people's attention. And so that's, you know, in the process of manifesting. So yeah, if you feel proactive to make this happen, say, hey, you know, 9/11 caught us by surprise. We weren't ready, but we now know we have all this wealth of wisdom and knowledge. You've spoken to so many people throughout your time. I'm now, you know, speaking to a lot of people. We're all learning from one another. That's what being human is all about in these times. We share with one another. We learn from one another. And now it's time for us to stand up and reclaim our sovereignty and say, you know what, this is our planet. You know, you guys, you've forgotten the agreement that you were going to come here, challenge us, but now it's over. Now it's time to go. You know, this is our planet. This is our sovereignty we're talking about here.
Yeah.
So if you feel the need to get up and do something, please, by all means, do it.
Right. Do you have any well, first of all, you're now on a tour of the world, but also a tour of the U.S. and Canada. Could you tell us a bit about that?
Yeah, I would love to. Thanks for bringing that up, Alfred. Yeah, we're heading over to Canada. We've got 2 events in Canada, one on Vancouver Island and the other one in Vancouver itself.
Oh, good.
So we're really, really
looking forward
happy about that.
To your being here in our fair city.
Yeah. I really hope I get the opportunity to say hello to you, even if it's just to sit down, have a cup of tea together and discuss some matters. I would dearly love that. And then we're heading to Ascension to meet some beautiful people over there in Ascension.
Okay.
And after that, we're heading over to Chicago and
Oh, excellent.
to Boston. So it's good
Oh,
fun.
good.
I'm really looking forward to that. Yeah.
Good. Great. Great.
All,
Well,
all the information for the events can be found on the website.
yeah.
I've got my old website, www.georgekavassilas.org, and we've got a new site, which is our-journey-home.com,
Okay.
and people can find out the information. We've actually got a US tour landing page, which is ourjourneyhomeusa.com, and
Oh,
they can have a
good.
look at it as
Good.
well.
We'll put the links on the article so that people can 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 go there. Um, I know that I've learned a great deal by going to your website and uh, listening to your interviews and reading your various writings, and I've learned a great deal today. You've expanded my own awareness and my own process. Are there any final words that you'd like to leave us about these challenging years that we face now?
Yeah, I'd love to say to people just to remember that we are infinite, truly infinite, that we exist beyond the creator of this universe. And when you connect with God, the creator of this universe, a real one, it'll be the first being that reminds you of that. You will have that knowing instantly anyway, and that these next little while on this planet, this is what we wanted. This is getting out of victimhood and trying to remove ourselves out above and beyond the forest to see once again and to remember what's really going on here, to remember who and what we are, and to remember how truly powerful we all are, and that the truth is inside each and every one of us. It's just sitting there and it's just waiting for you to reconnect with that greater aspect of yourself. So just be you, be authentic, keep it real, and above all, keep it simple, and that's all you need to be, and that will get you through.
Thank you so much for being with us today, George. And
Thank you, Alfred.
And Godspeed on your journey and on our mutual mission.
Thank you, Alfred. Love and blessings to you and all of yours. Thank you.
Thank you.